Rogers has pitched 2 games just about as well as any pitcher could pitch against the Philadelphia Phillies. 1 run in Montreal, no runs through 8 1/3 here.
Vukovich slams one deep right field. It's all over. George Vukovich, a pinch hit home run. What a magnificent job that man has done. A pinch homer by Vukovich, and we're going to Game 5. Steve Carlton and Steve Rogers tomorrow. Jeff Reardon, the only hit he gave up. George Vukovich, pinch hitter extraordinary, has kept this series alive. Oh my. Game 5 will be played tomorrow at 4:05. Here it is. George Vukovich. Fastball, and he nailed it to right field. A line drive over the fence into the Phillies bullpen. Phillies winning it 6-5 as George Vukovich has won the ball game with a pinch hit home run.
The arrival of the Expos, a team destined to draw more than 250,000 fans, 1.25 million, in their opening year in Jerry Park. When the Expos gathered at West Palm Beach for their training camp, the players and coaching staff had to be introduced to each other. But on opening day, they didn't play that way at Shea Stadium in New York.
One of the proudest men in New York that day was the mayor of Montreal, Jean Drapeau, given the honor of throwing out the traditional first ball. This was truly a first. The Mets catcher, Jerry Grody, was on the receiving end of the short toss, a pitch many people thought would never be made. Montreal in Major League Baseball, never. Pride in the hearts of Montrealers swelled as their manager, Gene Mauch, walked to the plate to hand in his lineup, the first Canadian lineup for a Major League game. Mauch, who is to become one of Montreal's most popular sports figures, met with New York manager Gil Hodges to become a legend of his own before another 6 months had passed. Then it was time to play ball. First Expo batter in a Major League game, the popular Maury Wills. Wills was to have his own problems as the season progressed, and eventually he was traded to his favorite team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. But on this day, Wills hit 2 doubles, 1 single, stole 1 base, scored 2 runs, made 1 pickoff play, started 1 double play. But on this, his first time at bat, he became Montreal's first out. Starting pitcher against the Expos that day, on April the 8th, was Tom Seaver, who knew everyone was a good pitcher. But not everyone knew he would win 25 games, lead the Mets to a World Series, and be named Sportsman of the Year. April 8th was not his day, and Gary Sutherland became the first Expo base runner. Montreal's most popular player in the early days was left fielder Mac Jones, who on this occasion drew the team's first free pass to first base, a walk. Then Bob Bailey, who eventually hit 2 home runs in a single game 3 times, cracked the Expos' first hit and drove in 2 runs. Both Sutherland and Jones scored. Sutherland, the first Expo to cross the plate with a run. The season opener was a wild one. Neither team's pitching was in shape, and the Mets moved back into contention easily. As a matter of fact, they did it on the next hit. The Mets moved in front 3-2. And the Montreal manager, Gene Mauch, was forced to make the first of his many trips to the mound during the season. This time, Mauch removed the starter, Mudcat Grant, replacing him with left-hander Dan McGinn. McGinn was greeted with Rod Gaspar's first hit of the season, and the Mets, momentarily at least, seemed to take control of the game. However, Gene Mauch's move of putting McGinn into the game seemed to be a stroke of genius in the Expos' next turn at bat. McGinn slammed his first Major League home run, and it was typical of many events to follow. The ball bounced off the fence into the parking lot at Shea Stadium. In days to come, people like San Francisco's Willie McCovey were to hit home runs into the swimming pool behind Jerry Park's right field fence, and the Expos were to complete a triple play and lose 20 games in a row. The Expos also had Rusty Staub, Le Grand Orange as he became known, throughout the summer Montreal's most popular athlete, hitting home runs even in his first game as an Expo. A game that for a while he thought he'd never play because the Houston Astros attempted to void the trade which saw him move to Montreal. And finally, there was Coco LeBoy, one of the major surprises of the season. Coco LeBoy is a journeyman infielder in the minor leagues for nearly 10 years, but he's also a power hitter, and he almost won the National League's Rookie of the Year award. His 3-run home run in this game provided the Expos with their first victory, 11-10 over the soon-to-be world champions, the New York Mets.
Wasn't much difference when the Expos arrived home for their first game at Jerry Park, a place that was under several feet of snow only a few short hours before the home opener. They were still bolting in the seats when the first fans arrived for that game against the National League champions St. Louis Cardinals.
Gene Martin, who spent 8.5 years with the Philadelphia Phillies, then without his baseball for about a year, and now is delighted to be back as the manager of the Montreal Expos. Crowd beginning to stand.
That's really something, a standing ovation before the first ball is pitched out.
Jaster's a left-hander with pretty good speed and a good curveball, and occasionally throws the slider. Low outside, and the first pitch in Major League Baseball league game in Canada is a ball. No score. Expos batting in the bottom half of the first inning. Comes on. He got an infield hit off the glove of Maury Wills back in the second inning. One you may recall, he jumped away in the air for and just got a bit of the webbing on. Bases loaded, nobody out. Shannon's at third. That's Staub going after it. It's gone. Home run. Grand slam.
Now, that's a particular hit over the bat that the wind did help. Didn't take much to get it right over that short fence out at around 368 mark.
Joe Torre, the first baseman. Strike one.
Needless to say, you can't give up 4 errors in 1 inning and expect not to get runs scored against you.
5 runs are in, all of them unearned. To the center fielder, Don Bosch. And the wind is blowing that ball. Home run. Tie. The Cardinals are into the lead. Benson comes in from second. Joe Torre homers.
Dan McGinn.
On that play with LeBoy at second, it wasn't enough to touch the bag. He had to tag the runner coming back in. So there's no force play there. With 2 out in the top of the 9th inning. Cardinals at the plate, and the Expos lead at 8-7. He's 1 for 4 with a single right back through the middle. Fastball, McGinn. Expos win it. In the top half of the 9th inning, the Cardinals, no runs, no hits, no errors,
No runs,
nobody left on base.
no errors.
And And the final score is the Montreal Expos 8, the St. Louis Cardinals 7.
The 1973 season was something completely different for Expos fans. Unexpectedly but unabashedly, they became contenders in a division up for grabs. The defense, the pitching, and the offense kept them around the 500 mark for most of the season, which was good enough to be solid contenders in a division that nobody seemed to want. One of the keys to 73 was the arrival of a young right-handed starter, Steve Rogers. Rogers' first win was a one-hitter in his second start, which he followed up with another shutout in his next start.
It was a half a year that it seemed like if I just threw my glove out on the mound, a double play was turned for me. Second start of my career was a one-hitter against Steve Carlton, and I mean, you know, I wasn't even sure how it quite happened. It happened. And the third start was against the Mets, and I give up 10 hits and 4 walks and throw a shutout and win 1-0. I mean, hey, I don't think I did that the rest of my career.
The Expos took root in 1969 and are now rewarding their loyal fans with impressive results. The home of the 1976 Olympics, beautiful Olympic Stadium, is now the home of Major League Baseball in Montreal. The Expos hired manager Dick Williams to put together a contender, and he's been looking to young catcher Gary Carter to provide leadership on the field. The first product of the Expos farm system to make it big in the majors, Carter plays with flair and intensity, a big favorite of the Montreal fans.
I really love the city. The people have just been fantastic to us, really. Whenever we go into stores and all, and I am recognized, they're always there for a congratulations or a hi or really a good-natured and all. And the involvement that we have, we're going to try and even learn some French and all, because just to be, since they show their inspiration towards me and their likefulness and all, I feel in return I can learn a little bit French and show the same for them.
Whether French or English, Carter's bat has been speaking the right language in Montreal this season, and his desire to win has rubbed off on the team.
Well, personally, I'd like to accomplish a championship here in Montreal. I'd really like to be a part of a team that is a winner. I just want to win more than anything. I can taste it.
This season, 3 more Montreal farmhands have blossomed together in the Expos outfield. Warren Cromartie, a solid hitter who makes good contact and can knock in runs. Andre Dawson, good hitter, good fielder, and plenty of speed. And Ellis Valentine, who has speed, power, and almost everything else. There goes a Valentine blast. Valentine is fast becoming Montreal's first bona fide superstar. And many believe that Valentine, Dawson, and Cromartie comprise the best young outfield in the game. To stabilize the Montreal youth corps, the Expos made some trades for experience in the infield, such as Spire to Cash to Perez. A DP combo that sounds like an old hit. Dave Cash leads off with a lot of hits, and Tony Perez drives them home. And Chris Spire stops them at shortstop. The Expos are reaching upwards and are zeroing in on more pitching to become serious contenders. They now have one authentic mound star in Steve Rogers, ace of the staff. With Canadian-bred rookie relief pitcher Bill Atkinson now doing a job in the bullpen, Montreal pitching may also soon come of age. One thing is certain, baseball is coming of age like never before in Canada.
A Montreal day is a CJAD day, and it begins in the morning with George Balkan.
We'll be here till 10 o'clock this morning. With
a Montreal day is a CJAD day with CJAD News.
It's 25 degrees Celsius.
CJAD traffic reports.
It is better this morning than it was yesterday.
CJAD sports.
Well, this is a big
24 hours a day, Montreal turns to CJAD 800 because CJAD is Montreal.
CJAD is Montreal.
This is Channel 5.
And we welcome those who have watched the New England-New York Jets game. The Jets upsetting the Patriots 28-24. That is the end of the second inning as the Expos get a single, but Carter picked off first. And after an inning and a half at Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia, in this decisive fifth game, no score. The Expos and the Phils, last of the second inning. Here's the alignment defensively for Montreal. Rogers and Carter the battery, with Parrish at third, Chris Spire the shortstop, Jerry Manuel at second, and Warren Cromartie at first. Jerry White with Dawson in center, Tim Wallach in right. Home field advantage. Montreal winning their two games at Olympic Stadium. The Phils winning both games here. And now the one-game series. The winner advances against either Houston and the Dodgers. Manny Trio 1 for 12 in the series. No team since the 3 out of 5 playoff structure began in 1969 has lost the first two and still going on to win the series. And yet 3 teams today, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Phils, have a chance to rewrite that historical note.
You really wouldn't think, Dick, that a team that goes ahead, let's say in a normal season, playing 162 games, would have a home field advantage. There's just so many games that are played, but teams like Houston, Montreal this year in Olympic Stadium.
Little number out to Manuel at second base, one away.
Somehow that home field advantage really plays a part in the game. I can see it in the game of football, but in the game of baseball, it seems like it would be, you're playing so many games, playing 7 days a week. Sometimes it just doesn't seem like it would make a difference, but it does.
In the National League, a home team has not lost yet in the playoffs. Houston winning its 2 at home, and the Dodgers 2 at home. Boa strokes one to center, and there's 2 away as Dawson captures it. Bob Boone, the catcher, making his first start. Chatted with him before the game today and asked him, how's he get ready in the morning of a game?
A little different for me today, Tom. I got here a little later than I normally do. I had to go out and watch my son played Pee Wee football this morning. It was a real exciting game. They it was a nip and tuck battle. They ended up losing 7-0, but it was quite a game. It was nice, relaxing morning for me.
Boone very proud of his athletically talented young sons.
And well, he should be. They can do a lot of things in sports. Of course, Bob, an outstanding athlete himself. But little Brett comes out here and takes ground balls. He takes balls in the outfield.
They said he could catch the ball behind his back when he was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yep, he's 12 years old, and he can play outfield with the guys that are standing out there right now. Little Aaron, his other little son, comes out here. 2 good-looking little children he has. Has another baby at home, too.
But there's never been 3 generations to make it to the major leagues, but they say that Boone's might well be the first. Chris Spire takes care of his high hopper, and it's an easy 1-2-3 inning for Steve Rogers, pitching as he did in game 1, very solidly. 1-2-3 second inning. No score after 2 in Philadelphia, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
This is Channel 5.
Chris Spire leading off the Montreal third, sends it high toward Vukovic, battling the fans, and makes the play. Spire fouling to right.
The boy in right field for the Phillies has had himself a pretty good couple of days, pretty good couple of innings. One inning last night, hits a home run out there, makes a fine catch down the right field line.
On this Sunday, let's check National Football League action. For those of you who've wandered away and haven't picked up the final scores or partials, we'll run those down for you and keep you in tune with what's happening on that side as the course of our game goes along. Jerry Manuel 1 for 11 thus far in the playoffs. In Los Angeles, no score. Houston and the Dodgers in the top of the second. That's Jerry Royce for Los Angeles and Nolan Ryan for Houston. They're in the same situation as we are here. Home team favored. Home team trying to win 3 in a row and advance to the National League Championship Series. That's the 4th strikeout for Carlton, all swinging. Steve Rogers comes up. There's a lot of pressure on him, and he's had a lot of time to think about his game strategy today.
Well, certainly we all knew we had to win the first one to win the third one, but now we're down to the 5th game in this series. We still haven't won the third one. It all of a sudden becomes the most important, but I must admit I haven't approached it any differently, and I don't think anybody can consider it any differently than any one of the 5 games so far.
Rogers, then count 1-1. Steve attended Tulsa University and was received his Bachelor's of Science in Petroleum Engineering. And of course, he'd like to drill a hole and get a gusher today and go right on to that championship. Team that wins here today will be on the road for the first 2 games of the championship series. And we'll give you all that information as it boils down into the late innings. Carlton going through the lineup for the first time, 1 base hit. They make it 2 as Rogers sends one right back over the rubber. 2-out single by Rogers. Football scores. The Eagles, and of course Philadelphia fans already happy about 1 victory today, beating New Orleans rather handily. They're still unbeaten. The Jets and New England in a great game. The Jets win again. Pittsburgh able to fight off the challenge of the Browns 13-7. The Steelers, after losing 2, have won 4 in a row. And look at that one, 4th quarter. The Rams have gone in front of Atlanta 37-35. We understand quarterback Pat Hayden of Los Angeles injured in that game. We're trying to get a confirmation. Houston leading Seattle late 28-10. Washington trying to win its first game of the year against the Bears 17-0 4th quarter. The Tampa's leading the Greens 21-10 in the Battle of the Bays in the 4th quarter. Cromartie takes one outside. And how about that one? 3 consecutive shutout losses by the Oakland Raiders, the defending Super Bowl champions, and Kansas City Chiefs put it on them today at Arrowhead. There's a team that had not been shut out in over 200 games spanning some 15-plus years, and now have been blanked 3 straight games. How do you figure that? Cincinnati beating Baltimore 34-19. Weak wave by Cromartie. He's the only left-handed hitter in the lineup. Denver 10, Detroit 7 early out at Mile High Stadium. San Diego takes the early lead against the Vikings in San Diego, and San Francisco 7-0 against the Cowboys at Candlestick Park. So you're up to date on all the football action. No score in this game. We're on the top of the 3rd inning, 2 out, and Rogers at first, and there's no score in Los Angeles. Astros and Dodgers. Rogers goes. Carlton neglecting the opposing pitcher, and Rogers taking a little chance there. Had a good lead.
Well, the Expos tried to run last inning with Gary Carter here. An element of surprise. Steve Rogers, who got hurt as a pinch runner during the regular season, and here he is running again, but this count does go to 3-2. He's going to be running anyway.
2-2 to Cromartie. He struck out first time up. That's the slider, and Carlton logs his 5th strikeout. No runs. Rogers with a 2-out single. He's left at first base. Middle of the 3rd inning at Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. The winner today moves on to the championship series. No score.
They've won their respective division, the best 4 teams in baseball. So be there for all the action of the league championship playoffs starting Tuesday night on the home of great baseball, NBC Sports.
Steve Carlton leads off the Philly 3rd inning and fouls it high off 3rd. Might be a play for Parrish. That ball came back to him. 1 swing, 1 out. Let's go back to Carlton taking care of Cromartie.
5 strikeouts already for Steve. He did not pitch particularly well up in Montreal in game number 1 when Steve Rogers beat him. but he has his slider going today.
He's using active slider.
He's using his fastball a little bit more today, which he was not doing in Montreal, too. That's the thing that's going to make his slider more effective. There's a little bit more use of that fastball.
Lonnie Smith hits it hard, but right at Jerry White. So Smith 0 for 2, popped up his first at bat.
That's a pitcher's friend, too. 2 pitches, 2 outs. There's your buddies from Central Michigan.
That's
They're
right.
talking about Central Michigan.
Yeah, that's the Alumni Association right there. Hey, listen, don't make fun of me. Your alma mater. USC yesterday didn't exactly come through as forecast.
Notice the black armband here on my coat today. A little bit in mourning for my Trojans from SC.
A couple of Arizona boys down that Montreal dugout, Brad Mills and Terry Francona. They're smiling about that Wildcat victory against Southern California. 2-1 to Rose. He was commenting before the game, Tom Seaver, that Rogers doesn't throw a lot of strikes, and Schmidt confirmed that. He said, you know, he throws a lot of pitches that look good, but they're not strikes.
Well, Steve has such good movement on the ball, Dick, that as they go to the plate, they'll look like strikes and then sometimes just sink out of the strike zone. There's a fine sinker and a good slider. Anybody that's good control and can make his living on the black edges of that plate. You see right there in front of Gary Carter, the white is really the plate, but when hitters and pitchers talk about throwing on the black, they're talking about the edges of that plate, and that's where a guy like a Steve Rogers will make his living.
Parrish won't be able to get to that one. First row, and a good catch made by a fan. Asked Schmidt, what does Rogers throw? And he said, nothing straight. And fastball dips and dives and runs, and of course all of his breaking pitches.
Well, there's only 3 elements that really you can put into a baseball. It can go so fast, have certain movement on it, and end up at a certain location. That's really the only thing that can happen between the pitcher and home plate.
There was a good example, a pitch that may or may not have been a strike, but it certainly was a pitcher's pitch, and Rose is out of there, and so are the Phillies, who go in order for the second consecutive inning. That's 7 in a row retired by Rogers, and after 3 innings at the vet, it's Rogers and Carlton handcuffing the hitters. Top of the 4th inning, no score here in Philadelphia. Steve Carlton facing Jerry White, Andre Dawson, and Gary Carter. White struck out swinging his first at bat. Here's that slider, 1-1.
That's the pitch that if he gets it there, it looks like it's going to be a strike, and the strike zone just becomes unhittable. The difference between Carlton today, it seems like, you see how his right arm was going down there, mechanically pulling his right arm down, boom, and that forces his left arm up, and he can stay on top of the ball. The thing that Steve was doing in Montreal was that lead arm, that right arm was going almost parallel to the ground. It has to go toward the ground. He has to pull down with that right arm, and that way he can keep his hand on top of the slider. That's why he was throwing so many hanging sliders up in Montreal.
So the body's almost a fulcrum with the right hand going down and brings the left arm up.
Exactly. If you can watch the right arm, it pulls down with that right arm here, and that will throw the left arm to get it up in the throwing position. For whatever the reason in Montreal, it was cold or whatever. His mechanics were not good in Montreal.
There's a base hit by White. And Matthews gets it in. A leadoff man is aboard. Joe Torre, fired by the Mets as manager, but here broadcasting the series on radio, we ask him, is he going to be the next Montreal manager?
Well, Tom, as you know, every city I've been in, I've started a rumor, and so far I've read it in all the papers, and if I start enough rumor and throw enough stuff, something will stick against the wall. So hopefully I will be on the field next year.
Oh, that's one of John Brody's lines. Remember him sometimes after a good game and say, hey, throw enough of that junk against the wall, something will stick. Yeah, lots of openings and lots of rumors flying. One of those had Tom Severs going to New York to be the Mets manager, a pitcher manager.
That was our friend Montreal in one of his columns, I think a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm not done pitching yet, I hope.
Well, no, they said pitcher and manager, dual role.
That'd be kind of tough. How am I going to take myself out of the game?
You don't want to come out even with.
Am I going to call myself into my own office and chew my own rear end out, or what? How would I do that?
Have a clubhouse meeting with yourself, huh? 0-2 the count. Smothers that one foul. Just to recap the series for you, in game 1 at Montreal, Rogers beat Carlton 3-1. In game 2, it was Gullickson, aided by a 2-run homer by Gary Carter, that helped Montreal to a 3-1 victory. Then the scene shifted here to Philadelphia, where in game 3, Larry Christensen and a 13-hit attack led to a 6-2 win. And then yesterday, the dramatic home run by Vukovic in the 10th inning, a pinch homer. Tug McGraw making his first relief appearance. And it's all even coming into today's game. And of course, in the National League West, where great pitching certainly has been the keynote, the Dodgers have rallied 6-1 and 2-1 to even their series. Last night, Fernando Valenzuela on a day's less rest, and today Royce with 1 day's less rest against Nolan Ryan. Oakland, the only team to sweep, made it look easy against Kansas City, allowed the Royals only 2 runs in 3 games. And Milwaukee, the one team that has been able to win on the road in that down 2-game situation after losing 2 at home to the Yankees, have come back to beat New York 5-3 and 2-1. And owner George Steinbrenner of the Yankees showed his great displeasure at that pattern. Apparently a most unusual tirade by a owner in the midst of a playoff, threatening to send them all packing. Rick Cerrone reportedly in tears after the game yesterday, lost to Milwaukee. And perhaps buried in all those headlines, the fact that Pete Vukovic, obviously pitching when not at full strength and ill, did a tremendous job for the Milwaukee Brewers. The slider gets Dawson again. That's 6 strikeouts for Carlton. Gary Carter singled his first time up. His thoughts about facing lefty Carlton.
Well, my thoughts, Tommy, are that I'm excited the fact that, I feel very confident of our chances. At the same token, it's amazing how a season can go on as long as it has, and it boils down to 1 game. But I'm confident that we can beat Lefty today. He's one of the best pitchers in the game today, besides yourself, and I think we can beat him today.
Carter, who singled sharply to left field his first time up. White at first, 1 out. We're in the 4th inning, no score.
Against the Phils and a guy like Carlton, the Expos are going to have to do something with their running game. Sooner or later, they got to start Jerry Wright here.
High in the air to center field, and that's Lonnie Smith. His last experience out there yesterday led to a spike wound as he misjudged the fly ball. By the time he came in to make a diving try for it, Gary Matthews, racing over from left field, stepped on his arm. Fortunately, not serious, and back in the lineup today. Larry Parrish now 1 for 17 in the series.
I was talking about Larry earlier in the game about he is the surprise here coming down the stretch. He hit over 300 in those last 5 weeks, and here he is in a series coming in hot, the hot hitter for the Expos, but 1 hit, which he just got yesterday. Trying too hard, overswinging, all those things that you can do in a playoff game.
Boone guessing that White might be going, and it's 1-1. The Expos have Tim Raines available as a pinch runner, and there just hasn't been a situation where Jim Fanning could use him in the series. There goes White. Out of there. Very close play. Trio makes the tag, and the inning is over. Boone guns down Jerry White, and the Phils come up in the bottom of the 4th. No score. Vukovich will lead off the Philly fourth inning. The star yesterday, his third pinch hit of the series, a home run to win it.
It was a great situation. I was just trying to hit the ball hard, and I got ahead of Reardon, and I was looking for a pitch down and in that I could drive, and he threw it right where I wanted it.
There is something about baseball and how you remember certain moments. They live on and on through the years, and that'll be one that Philly fans will long recall. George Vukovich. Grounded out his first time up in the starting lineup today. 4 for 5 in the series, 3 of those hits pinch hits. And just to put that in perspective, Vukovich with 3 pinch hits in 4 games. The World Series record is 3 pinch hits, and the playoff record is also 3. Bobby Brown, Dusty Rhodes, Carl Warwick, Gonzalo Marquez, and Ken Boswell, all with 3 hits. Here's that last steal attempt.
Very questionable at second base whether he was safe or out, but the point being there that Bob Boone catching instead of Keith Moreland. Moreland is the guy with one of the heavy bats for the Phils. Here's the tag again. It looked like it was safe to me, Dick.
It did
like
from both those
throw.
angles. Yes, it did. Looked like the tag was high. Vukovich off speed gets him. 1 away. That's first strikeout for Rogers. Now in the 4th inning, Houston and the Dodgers, no score. Dodgers without a hit against Nolan Ryan, and Houston with just 1 hit against Jerry Royce. Let's pause briefly from Philadelphia for a station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is Channel 5, WPTZ, Plattsburgh, North Pole, Burlington.
Dick Enberg and Tom Seaver, Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. The final game of this division series. The Phillies and the Expos are scoreless. 1 out in the 4th inning. Mike Schmidt had a solid single to left field his first time up. Now the lights are on at the Vet. Sun setting on another beautiful autumn afternoon. Tuesday, the next date for the winner of this game, either at Los Angeles or at Houston. Tuesday afternoon. Eastern time, 3 o'clock if they play at Houston, 4 o'clock if it's in Los Angeles. And also on NBC, the American League Championship Series will be a night game on Tuesday. Hit well to the opposite field, but Wallach has room. 2 away. For Rogers, he's now going through the lineup since Schmidt's single without allowing a base runner. It's 9 in a row.
Schmidt was talking before the game about everybody's going to stay within, and he's just going to try and get a single. That didn't look like a single swing to me, did it? He was going, hit that ball over the right field fence.
Matthews, who hit one over that right field wall yesterday. He's had a good series and leads the Phils in hits with 7. That ends the string of 9 consecutive outs by Steve Rogers. A 2-out single from Matthews.
A good shot of Gary Matthews in his swing, and he flips that helmet right off. You see him? Coming out of the box, he got rid of it.
I know Strancona yesterday did it, and they seem to be part. As soon as they start running full speed, they just did that little flip.
I think they must know we're on TV. They're on TV. That's got to be the reason.
Well, the close-ups, you know.
I'll get that razor blade commercial, right?
Manny Trio, soft liner to second his first time up.
See if the Phillies put something on.
Matthews this year, in case you're wondering, did have 15 stolen bases. So at 2 outs, he is a threat to go. Not much of a lead. To right center. That's a base hit. They're going to wave him in. Here comes the relay. He is out. For some reason, Matthews did not slide, and he is tagged out at the plate. On a good relay throw from Jerry Manuel.
The Expo defense looked like they were really taking their time here, Dick. Manuel at second base. He waited. Cromartie laid back on the ball for some reason. Carter right in front of the plate. Carter and Matthews, after the play was over, were exchanging some looks. No love lost there.
I don't think Matthews ever touched home plate.
Casual non-slide at home, I guess you'd say.
Casual the way
Funny
Dawson
play.
played it out in center.
Dawson laid back on the ball. Manuel hesitated. Lee Illia, the third base coach, didn't hesitate. He had Matthews going all the way.
Trying to steal a run. Parrish, base hit. Leading off the Montreal fifth inning. That's the fourth hit for the Expos to match the Phils total. Tim Wallach up, grounded to short. Well, we're in the fifth inning now, Tom Severs. You say you want to manage someday in a game of this import. Do you play for a run this early? One run? No, I guess. No.
I think that you've got to try and get a run, obviously. Anytime you have a matchup between a Carlton and a Rogers, you've got to do something to try and help your offense. You don't want to run yourself out of an inning, certainly, but, you know, Carlton and Rogers are not going to give you any runs. I mean, you got to earn everything you get. You got Spire on deck, who historically has swung the bat very well against Steve Carlton. Run him down to scoring position. No outs now. But then Carlton can pitch around Spire. So the possibilities and alternatives are many in this situation.
Infield, meanwhile, with a 2-0 count, looking for a double play chance. Now it's 3-0. Carlton has not walked a man. Ball 4.
Now what do you do in this situation? Spire hits him well. We talked to Chris earlier about what he thinks about facing Steve Carlton.
Well, again, anytime you face one of the best in baseball, Steve Carlton, I think the adrenaline's flowing, and if the adrenaline's not flowing today, I don't know when you can really get up for it mentally. But what I try to do against Steve is I try to lay off his slider. If his slider is on today, he's probably one of the tough, if not the toughest pitchers to hit. But if he has control problems with that, therefore he's going to get behind the count. Once he gets behind the count, he likes to come with that fastball away, and this is what I try to sit on, is his fastball.
And that fastball tailed outside.
Fastball away. That's exactly what Chris was talking about, too.
5 in a row missed by Carlton, who had been breezing along with good control, striking out 6. Parrish at second, Wallach at first. No one out in the fifth inning. The Expos' first serious chance.
Well, play manager here. What do? Maybe the guy in your lineup that hits the opposing pitcher better than anybody. You put the bunt on. Your number 8 hitter, you let him swing away.
He's swinging away.
Gotta let him swing away. That's exactly right.
2-1 the count. He's got Schmidt in at third and Rose up a couple of steps at first, so that opens up some holes if you're swinging away. Boa and Trio up the middle, hoping to turn 2. And they get a chance. Hit one there, and that's all, as Trio had trouble fielding it cleanly. Parrish goes to third. Spire safe on the fielder's choice.
That looked like another casual defensive play to me. One of these teams is going to go home today, either the team in blue or the team in red. And it looked like a casual effort on Trio's part to me. I think he had enough time to get in front of that ball and shovel it off the Boa. It certainly looked like it. Of course, you're talking about what many people consider the best defensive second baseman in the league out there.
Jerry Manuel, perhaps the weakest hitter in the Montreal lineup, and you'd figure that other than the pitcher. That's why he's in that 8th spot. That statistic reveals the fact that he's not a dangerous hitter. See if Montreal puts on a play first and third. Got Schmidt playing very deep at third, and now comes in Rose holding Spire at first. 2-1.
always the possibility, Dick, of a delayed steal or double steal. Spire, a veteran at first base. Very heady player, but Parrish, average to above average speed at third. So that comes to play. Steve looks like we talk about lazy defensive plays, both for the Expos and the Phillies. It looks like Steve is lazy. His mechanics all of a sudden seem lazy on the mound.
Falling behind 3-1, and he walks him. The bases are loaded.
And we talked about that right arm going down. When he was pulling that right arm down, throwing his left shoulder up, he was throwing extremely well, and it looks like either his legs are getting stiff, back getting stiff, or whatever. He seems to be moving horizontally, coming around instead of driving the arm down. The ball staying up and out of the strike zone.
And Steve Rogers, the opposing pitcher, steps up, and he has a base hit off Carlton today. Back through the middle. The infield back in the center of the diamond, looking for two in at the corners. He misses again. So Carlton struggling. No score. We're in the 5th inning. Let's look at that motion of Steve Carlton's.
Herm Surratt, the pitching coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, will be looking at Steve rather carefully, trying to figure out if there is one thing in there that he's doing wrong that's throwing him off.
Rogers fouls it out. First game against Montreal and Rogers at Olympic Stadium. 3 runs and 7 hits, but he walked 5 men, unusual for Carlton in those 6 innings. He's walked 2, his first 2 of the game here in the 5th. 1 out and 1-1 on the pitcher Rogers. Base hit to center. Could be a play at the plate. Throws offline. Rose cuts it off. Safe. And on to second goes Rogers. It's 2-0 Montreal. So Steve Rogers, the opposing pitcher, delivers a 2-run single.
Rogers gets a second hit of the ball game, a slider that looked up in the strike zone. It looked like there might have been a play at home plate. Pete cut the ball off, threw to Mike Schmidt at third. It was too late there, and heads up base running by a pitcher. Rogers, of course, a 31-year-old veteran, still young, but has a lot of time in the major leagues, kept right on going to second base. And the Phillies now are in trouble.
No one throwing in the bullpen. Cromartie up. Only 1 out. Cromartie has struck out both at bats against Carlton. Infield will play tight, try to cut off that 3rd run, but of course that also opens up the alleys for Cromartie. To Rose. Good play by Rose. He just ran Cromartie back to the plate, at the same time keeping an eye on Manuel, and there's the putout. Two out, so the infield will be able to play back, and Jerry White is the hitter.
I don't think this is the way they teach it in spring training, do you? This doesn't go on the instructional film, either offensively or defensively.
White singled his last time up. Boy, he takes a good cut. Shot at Schmidt, and he's going to get the easy out on Rogers. Hey, that's a break for Philadelphia, and that White running well. Schmidt didn't have to risk a throw, got the easy force.
Of course, Mike Schmidt, always a heads-up player, takes the easy out. Steve Rogers is coming down. There it is, a simple tag for out number 3.
2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks, and 2 men left. Halfway mark in this one, 4.5 innings in the book, 2-0 Montreal. Last of the 5th inning at Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia, and Steve Rogers has shut out the Phils through 4, scattering 4 hits, and his 2-run single, the difference in the game. 2-0 Expos. Boa, Boone, and Carlton, the bottom of the order for Philadelphia. Good fielding play by Rogers, who stabs that line drive. Well, he's done it all, hasn't he? He's the complete package thus far, pitching, fielding, and a 2-run single.
And base running, too. Good shot of the 3-2 pitch, fastball, right back up the middle, and Rogers steals a base hit from Boa.
Say 30 of the best drivers in the world have battled over 8 months for the title of world champion. One race remains. 3 men in contention for the most coveted title in motorsports. And you'll see the deciding contest next Saturday live from Caesars Palace, the Grand Prix, special edition, NBC Sports World. Bob Boone, the Parrish, and it's the second out of the inning. Again, the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, special edition, NBC Sports World live next Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Of course, we'll have a busy weekend for you. Auto racing on Sports World, the baseball playoffs, and National Football League action. Boy, early in the second quarter, the 49ers are leading the Dallas Cowboys 24-0. Carlton returns the favor, or does he? A nice catch by White in left field. He just outran that sinking line drive.
The Expos made several mistakes in game number 3. Here today, they're making the plays. There's Jerry White with a sliding catch. 2 good plays, one by the left field and one by the pitcher in this inning.
So the Phillies out in order. Hit the ball hard twice for outs. We go to the 6th inning in Philadelphia with Montreal in front 2-0. Cowboys have finally scored in San Francisco, so the score is now 24-7. 49ers, one of the big surprises today. We'll update the other scores for you sometime during this inning. Well, the Eagles have won again, the only unbeaten team in the NFL. The Jets over the Patriots by 4, 28-24. Here it's 2-0 Montreal. Andre Dawson up. Pittsburgh in that rivalry with Cleveland beats the Browns. The Rams outscored Atlanta 37-35 to move into first place, at least for the moment, in the NFC West. Of course, the 49ers, if they're victorious, would then tie the Rams with 4-2 records. Redskins' first win comes at the expense of the Chicago Bears, 24-7. Tampa Bay beat Green Bay 21-10. And Kansas City shut out the Raiders 27-0. That just is amazing. 3 consecutive shutouts. And the Bengals beat Baltimore 41-19. Cincinnati enjoying a good year. Detroit in front of Denver. That would be an upset in the second quarter. The Lions leading the Broncos. Dawson with a solid shot to center field. Now, the leadoff man is on in the 6th inning for Montreal. Other NFL scores. Vikings have tied the Chargers in San Diego in the second quarter at 14. There's that 49er score leading Dallas. Giants have a 10-7 lead against the Cardinals in the second quarter. And that brings you right up to date. Gary Carter, a single and 2 trips today. Hit well down the right field line, and a long run for Vukovic. Oh, what a fine play. There's so little room in which to stop in foul territory. Vukovic challenging the ball and the grandstand.
That is a very difficult area of this ballpark to play. The distance between that foul line and that wall simply is only about 2 to 3 feet. Vuk, who is not an everyday player normally during the regular season up here with the Phillies, inserted by Dallas Green because of his hot bat, has made 2 fine defensive plays in right field.
Now Carter denied another hit. Larry Parrish singled to start the go-around in the 5th inning as Montreal scored twice, the only runs of the game. Almost had Dawson leaning. You could hear in the background Steve Borrow say, "Back!" The first base coach helping Dawson.
That is not a command to your Labrador Retriever either.
Hear it again.
Sometimes your opponents on the bench will yell that at you as well, trying to deceive the runner.
That's drilled to right center, and no one there. Off the wall, and Dawson sprinting around third. They're going to try to score him. And they do. On to third.
And they get Larry Parrish, and he doesn't agree. It's 3-0 Montreal, and Parrish, frustrated having a bad series with the bat, he says, I finally get a double, and I thought I was safe at third.
What makes Larry Parrish a good hitter is when he goes to the right center field alley. They had no play on Dawson at home plate. Frank Pulley, the third base umpire, not hesitating at all, called Larry Parrish out at third base.
Yeah, but look at Schmidt. He made a second tag for him, and that's usually the giveaway. Schmidt didn't think he got him the first time. Watch, his swipe tag missed. Now he'll go after him a second time.
Pulley's already calling him out. Whether he called him out on the first or second tag, we don't really know.
Looked like Parrish had good argument.
You got to know that sometimes those infielders don't know whether they've made the tag or not. Don't know really whether they've made the out or not. The man with the best view in most circumstances, and the umpire at third base, Pulley, is a fine umpire. And he was right at the right angle, right on top of the play.
Now Parrish is out, but not until he had knocked in the third run of the game for Montreal. A solid double off the wall in right field. And now Carlton and the Phils find themselves down by 3 in the 6th inning. 3-0.
That play at third base is the kind of play where if you're a Philly fan, oh yeah, he was out. If you're an Expo fan, no, he was safe. I mean, it's that kind of so close it can go either way.
And a big play because he would, if safe, would have been at third base with only one out where he could have scored on an out. And they green light Wallach 3-0. Now in the 5th inning in Los Angeles, the Dodgers and the Astros are scoreless. One after ball 4. Looks as if Wallach's a little better low ball hitter.
With the uppercut kind of swing that he has, he looks like he drops that back shoulder and forces an uppercut swing. He's going to be a better low ball hitter. That's the kind of swing that's very difficult to get away with in the big leagues because they just throw too hard up here for that. Too good a control.
He's aboard for the second time, however, in a walk. I'd like to go back to the play Parrish's double. That's the first time we've really had a chance in the series to see Andre Dawson run all out. And he can eat up some territory in a hurry.
We talked about him being a Willie Mays kind of player. There was no contest at home. That ball in that alley, he just has too much speed, too much acceleration. And even if the throw had been on line, he'd have been safe.
And the ball was out there and off the wall just right now. Chris Spire, safe in a fielder's choice, scored one of the runs in the 5th inning, and he's fouled out. Parrish cooling down in that third base dugout. 2 strikes. Hey, we have Andre Dawson. George Finkel, our producer, John Gonzalez, our director. Just watch. His ball takes off, and so does he.
You want to know why people compare him to a guy like Willie Mays? It's easy to see. Perfect cut at third base. And just walks it very casually, stops it. Well.
And that was at normal speed that he turned those bases. Spire pulls it foul. But just think, Tom Seaver, if you had been blessed with foot speed too.
I still couldn't hit, though. Who's going to hit for me?
2 out. And Spire lifts it to the right side. Another long run for Vukovich. He's got that corner worked out pretty well, doesn't he? Expos had a run in the 6th inning on a single by Dawson and a long double from Parrish. And we go to the bottom of the 6th. Montreal up by 3. Dallas Green, is this his last game under that red cap? Or is he going to announce officially that he is a member of the front office of the Chicago Cubs?
I think that announcement will come after Phillies are eliminated or they win the whole thing, one of the two.
Well, they're going to have to come from behind to win it today as Steve Rogers and the Expos have a 3-0 lead. Top of the order, Lonnie Smith, Pete Rose, George Vukovich in the 6th inning. Good-looking bunt. That's a beautiful bunt if it stays there.
Smith uses the bunt single to start the Phillies 6. Right now, let's go to Brian Gumbel in New York.
Well, Dick, through 6 innings, there's no score out at Chavez Ravine. Dodgers and the Astros. Nolan Ryan has the Dodgers limited to just 1 hit, and he's got 5 strikeouts. Dick?
Thank you, Bryant. Nolan Ryan, Jerry Royce hooked up in that pitcher's duel. And now this crowd alive, some of them on their feet, as Pete Rose with Smith aboard on a well-executed bunt single that almost ate him up, and still he placed it beautifully. And Rose figures what's good may be better again.
The reason that Dallas Green inserted Lonnie Smith into the Philadelphia lineup is that exact type of play that he ignites the Philadelphia offense. That was a good, hard sinker in on him. How in the world he kept that ball fair, I'll never know. That was an outstanding drag bunt.
1-0 to Rose. 2-0. Sometimes that bunt single can turn things around the way a long drive will off the wall. And then Rose, you know, he is such an intelligent player. Comes right back whether he was going to bunt or not, but showed the bunt, just almost as if he's telling Rogers, you never know, might do it again. Brings the infield in, gets everyone thinking. 3-0. Rogers has not walked a man today. For the first time, he goes 3-0.
Rogers, of course, before the game, talking to him about pitching to these Phillies. Don't give him any gifts. Don't help him. Don't help him start any rallies. Only 2 walks, as you see, in his first game, game 1 of this series.
There's a strike.
Now digging himself a hole. Runs the count to 3-0 on Pete. But he's a pitcher with good control. And, of course, Carter went out just to settle him down. Remind him, say, come on now. So we're going to go throw strikes. They're going to get on. Let's make them hit their way on. We're not going to give them any gifts.
All 4. Rogers hearing the home field advantage. Meanwhile, the Expos surrounding their pitcher, trying to calm him down. Montreal ahead, 3-0.
The meeting on the mound, Dick, whether the possibility of the bunt here. No outs. Well, Dallas Green elected bunt. Move the runners to second and third. Leave first base open where you can walk Mike Schmidt. I think Vukovich has got to be hitting away.
Ball 1. Could be 2. Spire. And on to first. No, he's safe. Pulled him off. And Cromartie not angry at the umpire, just angry they didn't turn the double play. Steve Rogers, his thoughts about pitching to this Philly ball club.
I was asked that question prior to the first game, and I must admit it hasn't changed as far as my thoughts on it. And that's, you don't want to give the Philadelphia Phillies, as potent a lineup as they are, any gifts, that being walks or extra outs in an inning. And we witnessed what 4, 5, and 6 out innings can do for the Phillies offense. It'll pick them right up. Hopefully we can stay away from the gifts. If we stay away from the gifts, we're going to play them even up.
Was a beautiful feed by Rogers to Spire. They led him right to the bag, but Spire, an errant throw, pulled Cromartie off. And that means that Schmidt does have a gift, an extra base runner. And now one swing by the Major League's top home run hitter, and it's a new game. Ball 1.
That last play was a good example of the kind of day that Steve Rogers is having. Another fine fielding play. The execution by Spire It looked like he had plenty of time at second base. Just simply a bad throw to Warren Cromartie at first.
So Vukovic at first. Over at third is Smith. That could be two. And the second time is the charm for the Expos as Rogers pitches out of it, and he came off the field with his right fist clenched and said, all right. No runs, one hit, and one left. And after 6 innings in Philadelphia, Montreal 3, the Phils nothing. Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. The totals after 6 complete innings. Montreal, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They've left 4. The Phils, no runs, 5 hits, no errors. They, too, have stranded 4. Carlton working to Jerry Manuel with Rogers the pitcher and Cromartie to follow. Can't say enough about Steve Rogers' work today.
Base running, glove, and bat, and pitching.
Well, that was beautiful pitching in that last inning. So he said Rogers has a winning record against Carlton lifetime, 6-5. And, of course, the difference being the win in Montreal in Game 1. Manuel punches it to right. Vukovic for the out. He's had 5 putouts in right field. Carlton bidding for his 4th Cy Young Award, winning 13, fine ERA 2.42, and of course in the process at the all-time National League record for strikeouts, and is the left-hander with the most strikeouts in all of Major League history. Rogers, 2 hits and 2 at-bats, a 2-run single last time up.
Carlton is right at that 100 pitch mark already. Coming into the 7th, this is number 100 right there.
What does that mean? Do they count pitches for you? What do you figure your gas tank is? What's the warning sign?
Of course, it will vary from pitcher to pitcher and how much you've worked and whether you're pitching in hot weather or cold weather, day game, night game. But I'm normally let's say 15 pitches an inning, and if I run to about 125, 135 pitches, that's about it for me. For Steve, it could be different. Many strikeout pitchers certainly are going to throw more than sinker ball, ground ball pitchers, the kind of pitcher that Rogers is.
Rogers taking it easy going down the line as Smith throws him out. 2 out.
There you are.
It is no fun hitting against Steve Carlton, and I can tell you that from personal experience. That's the slider down and in, and looks like he might have hurt himself on that. Rogers is a pitcher with many facial expressions throughout the course of a game, so you don't really know what that means. Ron Reed throwing in the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen.
Couldn't tell whether or not that expression was because he might have pulled that rib. He broke a rib a month ago, or whether or not that was just agony and not being able to make better contact. Cromartie up. He's 0 for 3 today. Getting into the late innings now, 7th inning, and Montreal with a 3-0 lead. No team has ever lost the first 2 in best of 5 and come back to win it. Phils with a shot today, but trail. The Dodgers with a chance today are even. And later it'll be Milwaukee with an opportunity, but they're playing at Yankee Stadium and trying to do the toughest of all, sweep it away from home. Cromartie strikes out for the 3rd time against the left-hander of the Phils. Carlton now with a total of 7 in the game. 1, 2, 3 the story. It's the stretch half of the 7th inning here in Philadelphia. Phillies need 3 to tie.
Johnson's Baby Shampoo presents Bucky Dent and Bill Russell.
My hair's a mess after every game.
Same here.
So I have to shampoo every day.
Yeah, but shampooing that much worries me.
Then don't use anything harsh. Use Johnson's. It's gentle enough to use every day. Johnson's doesn't dry out your hair. Leaves it clean, thick, and healthy looking.
Would Johnson's do that for me?
No tears, no runs, no errors.
Johnson's baby shampoo.
It's gentle enough to use every day.
From Johnson & Johnson.
31-year-old Steve Rogers from Springfield, Missouri. One would have to guess this is the most important opportunity in his Major League life, a chance to give the Canadian entry, the Montreal Expos, a chance to move on to the National League Championship Series. And he's done all you could ask, a couple of base hits. He's checked the top scoring team in the National League, the Phillies, scoreless through 6 innings on 5 hits. And faces Gary Matthews, Manny Trio, and Larry Boa in the last of the 7th.
Dick, you know you're pitching a good game the way he did last inning when he gets out of the inning by getting the Phillies' best hitter to ground into a double play. That's when you're having a good day. Whether he can do it for 9 more outs, we'll find out.
Matthews, a single and 2 trips. Shallow fly to Wallach in right. 8 outs to go.
We talked about Carlton having 97 pitches going into this inning. Rogers has 65 pitches, which is a very good ratio. Of course, Steve is not the strikeout pitcher. Steve Rogers is not the strikeout pitcher that Steve Carlton is. Rogers always around the plate. I don't really know what that was.
Whether they're live or not, huh? Trio takes ball 1. Left-hander Woody Fryman. And a right-hander now throwing in the pen for Montreal. That's Reardon now at work for the Expos. 1-1.
There's a good shot of what Rogers looks at because he didn't get the sign.
Trio finds the hole on the left side. Phillies have their 6th hit, 2 of them by Trio.
Trio came into the playoff game here hitting only .083, but 1 hit. Has 2 hits already in this game off of Rogers. Who would think it? One guy with the paltry batting average, already 2 hits off the fellow that is giving the Phillies all kinds of problems.
Larry Boa has fly to center and line back to Rogers. John Kibler with that unique strike sign, raising the right hand, cradling the right elbow in his left hand. Play.
That was a good example. Camera work from center field, how the Expos will play Larry Boa over toward left field, pitch him away. You could see as Rogers would go into the delivery that Gary Carter would shift toward the outside part of the plate. The old axiom, pitch him away, playing away. You can see that circle going around and around. He wants a sinker away here.
No advance by Trio.
Carter calling for the sinking fastball. There'll be a couple of different signs, Dick, for the straight fastball or the sinking fastball. You may use number 1 for a straight fastball and a 1 going around in circles when you want the sinker. They're both considered fastballs, but they'll both have different movements. They'll move in different directions. There you can see sinker. He wants the sinker again.
Foul back.
Got it up.
Up the middle. Spirer. Got him. Oh, that was a tough play. He had to gauge the bag and the ball all at the same time, trying to have the 2 intersect, and just did beat Trio for the 4th.
Shortstops are some of the most beautiful athletes in all of sport. They have to do it all. They have to be strong enough to be able to throw well, their timing, their grace, anticipation. They are really marvels. The shortstop that plays every day through the heat of the summer and the fatigue, being able to do it all is a tremendous plus for any ball club. And when you can find one that hits like a Davy Concepcion, you really have a find.
Yeah, they're so valuable that a guy that might hit 200, 210 can still be an everyday ball player and contribute strongly to a team's success. And Ozzie Smith is maybe an example of that. He's a better hitter than that, but such a marvelous defensive player that he doesn't have to hit. Then you get the bonus when they drive in runs like Concepcion does. Boone drives that one high on the infield, and Spyrer has the final out of the Phillies' 7th. 2 innings to go. Steve Rogers and the Montreal Expos, looking to the championship series, lead the Phillies 3-0. Top of the 8th inning, Jerry White and the big guns, Andre Dawson, Gary Carter against Carlton. White, a single and 3 at-bats. A little surprised that Dallas Green let Bob Boone hit in that last inning with a man on down to the number 8 spot. Talk about that later. Live next Saturday, big one out at Las Vegas, Caesars Palace Grand Prix, 4 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC Sports World. Gary Matthews. White with the first out of the Montreal 8th inning brings up Andre Dawson.
Talking about Boone, not pinch hitting for Bob Boone. The reason he took him down and put Keith Moreland in during the season to do most of the catching in the second half was Boone was only hitting just over 200 in that situation there. Carlton is going to pitch, but this is it. He's leading off the next inning. They're going to pinch hit for him. You think with a man on base that Dallas Green would have hit for Bob Boone.
Got lots of left-handed batters down there, or even Moreland himself to use.
Unsert Gross.
Dawson, after striking out his first 2 at-bats, drove a single to center in the 6th inning and scored from first on a double from Larry Parrish. Andre Dawson's wife, Melissa. Yeah, we've seen the wives throughout the course of the playoffs, and it's become a part of the coverage as the ladies who normally are home or working themselves don't get a chance to accompany their husbands, and they are such important people, athletes or anyone else. And it's nice that we're able to feature them a bit because, especially as an athlete's wife, the sacrifices that they go through. So close, but so far. She thought Andre had a base hit. Hit it hard enough. Gary Carter. Well, at this juncture, you're going to hang out an MVP for the playoffs. Carter would get some votes, that's for certain, as would Steve Rogers. Chris Spyrer. They've been the 3 heavy names for Montreal.
You can see Bob Boone shifting outside. There's Gary Carter's wife, Sandy, accompanying her husband here to Philadelphia.
2 out, no one aboard. Carter, soft fly to right. That could be trouble. No, Trio goes out. Vukovic wasn't going to get it, but Trio just easing his way out made it look easy. 1, 2, 3 for the Expos. Bills come up. 6 outs to go in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's the pitcher's spot. Then the top of the order, Smith and Rose against Steve Rogers. This is Sandy Carter watching Gary's ball being caught by Manny Trio. And he didn't drop it. Greg Gross. That's for Steve Carlton. Now, the Phillies did not get their ace left-hander a run. And trail 3-0. Smith and Rose to follow. Terry Francona goes to left field. Jerry White moves from left to right with Wallach out of the game. There's White in right field.
A point we've made before through this playoff period, Dick, that this out, the first out of the inning, is strategically important for a pitcher.
Francona, does he have a play? Yes.
So 1 out in the 8th. 5 outs to go for Montreal. For an update, let's go to Bryant in New York.
Well, Dick, out of Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers have posted the first run of the ball game in the bottom of the 6th. Then on 1st and 3rd, Rick Mundy drills a single to right. Only the 3rd hit off Nolan Ryan in the ball game, but it's enough to bring one home. Dodgers have men on 1st and 2nd, still 1 out, bottom of the 6th. They lead 1-0. Dick?
Thank you, Bryant. So the Dodgers move in front 1-0. And if they stop things right now, it would be Montreal and Los Angeles. Francona around the ball girl down there in the left field corner to make that catch. Lonnie Smith, 1 ball, no strikes. Hit to center field. Dawson has the 2nd out. Steve Rogers with a brilliant performance in Philadelphia today. Pete Rose, the hitter.
Only 86 pitches so far, Dick, and Steve Rogers, who at times can be the best pitcher in our league. When he is his game going, he is as tough as anybody, and he's doing it simply with the basics today. He had one little rough spot where he got wild after Smith had that bunt single back in the 6th, but he's getting ahead of his hitters, keeping the ball down in the strike zone.
Missed with that one. Phils have actually had 3 chances to score. In the 1st inning, they had a couple of singles, but Matthews grounded out. Then they had the play at the plate in the 4th inning after Matthews had singled a 2-out long single by Trio, but they cut down Matthews trying to score all the way from first base. And then the inning to which you alluded, the 6th, when a bunt single by Smith, a walk to Rose with no one out, but then a couple of ground balls, a force out, and a double play against Schmidt, and that was it. 1-2 now to Pete Rose. 47,384, by far the largest crowd of the 3 games here in Philadelphia. That center field camera, when it shakes, that's nothing wrong with your set, obviously. That's just the action of the crowd. Right at and right under Jerry Manuel. So Manuel opens the door with Vukovich coming up. A 2-out error. Let's go to New York.
Well, Dick, in the bottom of the 6th, the Dodgers have added another run to that one we just showed you. Nolan Ryan kicks and deals to Mike Scioscia. He drills it right back up the middle. Garvey steams around 3rd with the Dodgers' 2nd run of the ball game. Dodgers still alive, but there's 2 outs in the 6th. It's 2-0. LA out in front. Dick?
Thank you, Bryant. So the Dodgers and the Expos in the lead. Vukovich up with Schmidt on deck. 2 out in the 8th inning. The inning should be over. Foul back. Vukovich in the starting lineup. 0 for 3 today. That's why the camera's bouncing out there in center field. Fouled again. Got him in on the hands. 1-2.
If you look at percentages, too, Dick, last time that Steve faced Mike Schmidt in this game was in a game situation where Mike Schmidt could have busted it open. Vukovich gets on, the same situation comes up again. Now he's done it once with the roll of the dice. Can he do it again?
He won't have to worry about it. He catches Vukovich looking. 2nd strikeout for Steve Rogers. No runs, no hits, an error does not cost Montreal. 1 man left. We go to the 9th inning. Montreal 3. The Philadelphia Phils nothing.
This is Brian Gumble in New York. The Dodgers have been retired in the 6th, but not before scoring their 3rd run. 1st and 2nd, 2 out. Russell bounces one to Art Howe, who throws it up the line, and Denny Walling can't find the handle. While he has his problems, Rick Mundy scores the game's 3rd run. 3rd error for the Astros today. Let's go back to Dick Enberg.
Now the Dodgers at home after losing 2 at Houston. Apparently on their way to qualifying for the championship series, where here in Philadelphia, the Phils have just 1 at-bat left. Greg Gose stays in the game in right field with Vukovich coming out. And Ron Reed is the new relief pitcher for Philadelphia. Put Reed in the 3rd spot in the batting order, and Gross, who pinch hit for Carlton, will stay in that 9th spot. Trying to keep the pitcher as far away from coming to bat in the 9th inning as possible, and that's Dallas Green's thoughts. There are the numbers as Montreal 3 outs away from victory. Parrish is out. Ground ball to Boa. Brings up Terry Francona for the first time today. Tim Wallach, while he was in there, grounded out and walked twice.
One little oddity about today's game, you look at home plate there, you see Terry Francona and Bob Boone behind the plate. Their fathers were traded for each other once in 1956.
It meant that Ray Boone was a fine third baseman, a clutch-hitting right-handed hitter. Tito Francona, like his son, a left-handed contact hitter. Hey, that's good information coming up there. Terrific.
It's my trivia quiz for today.
You're right, too. Your answer is right.
I started with the answer, though. That's right. I could have said, what two players now standing at home plate had their father?
There's another trivia man out there on the mound, Ron Reed, playing in 2 major league sports, the NBA and baseball. Base hit for Francona off a broken bat. So Francona, 1-out single in the 9th inning.
Not a very pretty hit, but they all count. Kind of like Bake McBride's the other day. That just got up in the air that nobody could get to. He hit it a total of about 90 feet. Like whether they'd have been able to throw Francona out on that play, I don't know. Pretty tough play for either Trio or Bo.
Time permitting, we will switch to Los Angeles for the conclusion of that game after the conclusion of this one. Of course, that all involves what happens here. Spire 0 for 3 today. Looking ahead to the 9th inning for the Phils, it'll be Schmidt, Matthews, and Trio scheduled, and then the lower third of the order. There goes a runner. Fly ball to center. And Smith has the second out. They had to win 3 in a row to qualify for the championship series here in '81, 1-2, but are 3 outs away from elimination, down 3-0 tonight. Goes fouled away by Manuel.
Well, the Expos are trying to add an insurance run. Certainly they put up the hit and run on with Spire at the plate, and here they run with Francona. Hit and run or straight steal, could have been either one. Ozzie Virgil, the third base coach, flashing the signs.
I think he gave enough of those.
You got me confused. I know that.
Inside. No, I called him around on it. 0-2. There goes Ozzie again through a series. Right through that one, and that's it for the Expos in the 9th inning. No runs, a hit, a man left. Coming up for the Phils in their last call, perhaps, it'll be Schmidt, Matthews, and Trio.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Last of the 9th inning, Steve Rogers has shut out the Phils on 6 hits. All 6 singles. Ball 1 to Mike Schmidt, who has a single, flied out, and grounded into a double play. 2-run home run yesterday. Schmidt, who has a good eye and led the league in walks. Walk is as good as a hit in this spot. Phils need base runners.
And he also let John Kemper know that he wasn't too happy about that. Mike is one of the best politickers for a hitter, which was fair in this game.
Hit well to center, but Dawson is there. Struggled with it, hit right straight at him, and that's the toughest play for the outfielder. With Dawson holds it in for the first out. Gary Matthews is the hitter.
Rogers has pitched 2 games just about as well as any pitcher could pitch against the Philadelphia Phillies. 1 run in Montreal, no runs through 8 1/3 here.
Hit well to left, but that's at the left fielder, and Francona has the second out. So 2 line drive outs, and Dallas Green and his Phillies 1 out away from elimination. Our thanks to the men who have worked the game today, our producer George Finkel and our director John Gonzalez, the executive producer of NBC Sports Don Ohlmeyer, the coordinating producer of baseball Michael Weissman, technical director in Philadelphia Bruce Berquist, associate director Joe Michaels, associate producers Michael Hadley and Glenn Adamo. Thanks to John Everts of Temple University, our statistician. Manny Trio. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Dodgers lead by 3 as well, and will be going to Los Angeles at the end of this game. Man that would have to get the most valuable player vote from me on the mound, Steve Rogers. If you can beat Steve Carlton twice in a short series, you have really done your work. It's over. A soft line drive to Cromartie. The Expos advance to the championship series. It's an interesting story. That man, Jim Fanning, age 54, out of the front office, takes over the ball club in September. And for the first time, a Canadian team will be in the fight for the National League pennant. And Fanning, leading his mixture of youth and age down the stretch. Steve Rogers delivering today, shutting out the Phils and delivering a 2-run single in the process, as Montreal wins the deciding 5th game.